Hey, what's up? Welcome to Volume 2 of Bullshit. Before we get started, I just want to quickly mention two things. The first thing is that being the niche channel that I am, I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I sort of get to set the precedent. So if there's any other content creators out there that want to come along and either imitate my channel or try to do it better than how I do it, hopefully they'll hold themselves to the same standard that I hold myself to. And that standard is being as open and transparent as I possibly can be, not only with myself, but with the viewers as well. You know me by now. I do not mince words. I don't tiptoe around subjects, and I don't discriminate or try to make anybody feel awkward about their sexual preference, unless of course I'm trolling. So with that in mind, this is my critical analysis of sort of a more topical situation. Something I haven't really touched on. I did a little bit in XXXR, episode 1, part 1. But this is much more current than what I talk about in that episode. The second thing is that as a viewer, I want you to be mindful and be sensitive to the topics of both gender equality and feminism. It's very important that you keep those two things in mind as you watch the rest of this video. Anyways, without further ado, let's introduce the three main characters. Today we're going to be talking about Zoe, Abigail, and Celestia. If you don't already know about them, they are, in a nutshell, gamer girl e-girls. And e-girls is just a shorthand term for internet girls, which means that their entire persona online revolves around the fact that they are female. They're not particularly well versed in a subject. They're not exclusively witty or have good sarcastic comebacks. Their whole presence on the internet is sort of reliant on the fact that they are girls. And if you do know them, I want you to ignore, sort of push out of your head all of the bitter, hateful comments about any one of them being a whore or a slut, because that's just not the case. It's their body and it's their right to do what they want with it. Just like how myself as a male, it's my body and it's my right to do what I want with it, of course, after I turn 18. And there are nudes of me floating around on the internet, and I'm not ashamed of that. Just how, they shouldn't be ashamed of it. But here is where each one of these sort of online personalities kind of fucks up. First, we'll talk about Zoe, probably because she's the most popular. And sort of the most important to figuring out why all of this is so ass backwards. Zoe is a hypocrite. The reason Zoe's a hypocrite is kind of complicated, so just try to stick with me on this. Zoe dropped Celestia from her professional stream team, I believe she called it, but she did not drop Abigail. The reason this is hypocritical is because the reason she dropped Celestia was that at some point in time, Celestia had made a video on YouTube stating that once she hits 1 million subscribers, she will upload a porn sex tape, to some site. She was apparently in talks with a couple of big production companies, so I don't know how she's planning to distribute it, but she was gonna drop a porn sex tape. So Zoe dropped her from the professional streaming team for that, but she didn't drop Abigail, who already has an NSFW blowjob clip on Pornhub. According to my research, there are actually about 4 or 5 of those clips, along with an archive of 55 or 60 images. The images obviously aren't the problem. We're more focusing on the blowjob clips. Now, maybe because Abigail's videos sort of surfaced prior to her joining up with Zoe, it didn't violate her quote-unquote terms of employment, but that's really just splitting hairs, especially considering the fact that in her public address to why Celestia was dropped, Zoe insists that it's about protecting her brand and her business. And I want you to remember that, because we're going to talk about that in just a second. It's about protecting her brand and her business, choosing to make a clear distinction between using slightly explicit NSFW content, like nudes, or wearing sexy clothing or twerking on camera, using that kind of content to promote awareness, and abusing graphic NSFW content such as full-on sex tapes to promote awareness. It's a clear distinction, but it's still kind of stupid. Which brings me back to the sort of her brand and her business, what she says, what the real deal is with that. Coming from a former business major, her business is practically no substance. There's practically no substance to her brand or her business, whatever she wants to call it. And I implore you, as an active listener, I implore you to go ahead and just name 3 things any single one of them has brought to the gaming or esports community. These are both of the communities that they're kind of exploiting for popularity and profit. And it's important. The profit part is the important part, okay? Because if they weren't taking people's money, personally, I wouldn't give a shit. But in my opinion, once you start involving real world currency, you sort of open the floodgates to all levels of criticism. So if what you're doing is illegitimate or unsubstantiated, then, be prepared to get called out for it. If they were just doing that shit for free, I really wouldn't care. But the problem is that they are sort of manipulating the gaming and esports community. So go ahead and name 3 things. I'll wait. Seriously, go ahead. As a matter of fact, pause the video and Google them. Look it up. Tell me, see if you can find 3 things that they've brought to either the gaming or the esports community to make it better as a whole. You're back? Can't find anything, right? Yeah, I know you can't because I already looked. Now, if you're fresh to sort of the idea of gaming or esports, I'm not going to explain them because there's already, a ton of articles and videos that probably do a way better job. But here's a little perspective. There's another semi-well-known gamer who mostly focuses on Kingdom Hearts, who goes by the name of Bizkit047. He's a pretty hardcore player that's been active for probably close to a decade now. He's been active for close to a decade, and I mean, he has maybe a fraction of the following that any single one of them have, at least on YouTube. Okay, now keep that in mind as well. That's gonna come up a little later. It's important. Now, Bizkit has contributed so much, along with other hardcore Kingdom Hearts players. He has contributed so much to the gaming and streaming and Kingdom Hearts communities. Yet he still does not have the audacity to set up a Patreon and ask for money with pretentious titles like Bizkit is making art. Are you fucking kidding me? There's no art being made by any one of these young women. Okay, that's just a fact. They're not making art. Okay, they're not making art. They're manipulating a bunch of, they're manipulating the lowest common denominator of men who are so desperate for some kind of female interaction that they're willing to spend, upwards of $50, $100, $200 for a little attention or a little recognition from somebody who may be, thousands of miles away. It's ridiculous. Now, despite the fact that Bizkit is arguably, not even arguably, empirically more deserving, he doesn't even stoop that low. So I don't know where they get off thinking that this is appropriate for them to do. Now, gender politics definitely has a role to play. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get into that, let me just backtrack for a second. because I'm kind of just going off the top of my head here. The perspective of this is that you have a seasoned veteran player who has left his mark in the gaming community versus three young ladies who, if you check the dates on their profiles, you know, they really haven't been around for that long. Maybe, I think the oldest one in the gaming community goes back 4 years or something, or 5 years. They haven't been around that long, and even in the time that they have been around, they haven't made any kind of impact. They haven't left a mark or any kind of legacy that's noteworthy. Right. In terms of, in terms of them justifying asking people for money. Now, back to the gender politics comment. Gender politics definitely has a role to play, but to avoid misconceptions or any bigotry, we're just gonna push it to the side for the critical analysis. Okay, we're not gonna focus so much on them being women versus men streamers. Despite the fact that the esports community is almost entirely male. I can't think of any professional esport teams off the top of my head, that have like feature female players. And not that I look or I'm particularly interested in esports, but from the big ones that I know, like FaZe and all those other ones, I don't see any females. So that's just what it is. So that's how all that is how kind of Zoe fucks up by being a hypocrite. Now, Celestia fucks up by trying to game the YouTube system to declare that at 1 million subscribers, she'll drop a porn, like I mentioned earlier. If you know anything about porn actresses, or if you've watched any of my previous videos, often when I go into a little backstory about the porn star, it's quite often that they will have a history of either stripping, doing erotic photography, binging on drugs, escorting, or being generally promiscuous for a healthy part of their young mature lives. And that's that's how most of those women end up transitioning into porn. Or excuse me, what I should say is that most of the women who transition to porn tend to have a background in one of those 5 things. So what makes Celestia think that she's such a special fucking snowflake? Like, how does she justify in her mind, right? In an industry with literally tens of thousands of talents, right? How does she justify bargaining, getting into the adult film industry for 1 million subscribers? How does she do that? Because, just off of her appearance, and not to be shallow, but it is what it is, because it's porn. You're not watching porn to find out about her intellect. Based on just her appearance, I could probably name 3 or 4 actresses that already kind of do the petite sort of goth thing, way better than she does. Okay, for starters, Faye Reagan, Stoya, even Sasha Grey, that do it way better. Now, again, she hasn't actually done a porn yet, but I can't see her, topping a performance, topping a performance that Sasha Grey or Faye Reagan has done. Now, if she actually does reach 1 million subscribers and does a porno, and she does top both of them, I will be the first person to admit that I was wrong. But I just don't see it happening. As a matter of fact, as I was writing this, I was walking outside, and in the air was kind of this smell of pasta. This smell of like some good pasta. And I was looking around trying to figure out who the fuck is cooking pasta at 5:42 in the morning. And I realized I was walking by a public school. Those of you that didn't go to public school, we have these like lunches of this like sort of cardboard tasting like pasta. It smells delicious, but then you eat it and it has like no seasoning, no flavor. You know, it's really bad. So as soon as I realized that I was smelling the public school pasta, I was like, oh, you know, and then it suddenly just stopped smelling as appealing. So that's kind of how I feel about Celestia, where at first I didn't have a problem with her. I was like, okay, cool, you know, do your thing. But then once I saw that she was, you know, sort of trying to bargain popularity for joining the adult film industry, it just made her and her whole persona completely unappealing, completely and totally unappealing almost immediately, because she's got it backwards. You have to do the porn first, and then the fans come. If you already have fans doing something else, then stick to doing that. Stay in your lane, but don't try to leverage more fans for something that you're supposed to do first in order to get popularity. It doesn't make sense. Now, contrary to popular belief, gamer guys don't want to see gamer girls do porn. Shocking, I know, right? Being an avid, I wouldn't say hardcore, but being an avid gamer myself, probably since I was about 6 years old, probably younger, maybe even 4. Being an avid gamer, basically my entire life, I can tell you straight up that when a girl says that she's a gamer, we want to see her actually be kick-ass at games. That's the whole point. Not just because you have a vagina and you know how to hold a controller. That doesn't make you a gamer girl. And if you think that it does, then you're clearly fucked in the head. Gamer guys do not want to see gamer girls do porn. We want to see gamer girls kick ass at games. We want to see porn stars do porn. That's the whole point. Now that's how Celestia fucks up, on multiple levels. And I don't know if this counts as a fuck up really on Abigail's part, but there is already an entire archive of all of her NSFW pics and videos, including full pink shots and blowjob clips, respectively, that have been confirmed to be her. So, according to Zoe's own principles that she admitted in her public denunciation of Celestia, shouldn't Abigail also be dropped, since she sort of crosses the threshold from slightly inappropriate content or slightly sexual content to graphic NSFW material? So, that might be more of a joint fuck up on Abigail and Zoe's part. And also, this is a side note, this is just an observation. When you Google them or look at their profiles, there is actually little to no real gameplay footage between all of the members of this new stream team that Zoe has titled Lux Gaming. Okay, there's very little. Considering that some of the members' accounts that they have registered with go back almost 3 or 4 years, altogether, between all the members, they may have anywhere from 45 to probably the highest estimate is 90 or 100 hours. And 100 hours is pretty generous. They might have that much between all of them. And I believe so far it's a roster of like 4 or 5 girls, maybe 6. For comparison, Biscuit047, who I mentioned earlier, has a bare minimum of 300 hours on just his Twitch, and probably, and I'm really lowballing him here, probably under a fourth or maybe even a third of that on his YouTube. Another 100 hours on his YouTube. So combined, close to like 400 hours. That's literally almost 10 times what the entire Lux Gaming professional stream team has combined from just one guy. Not to mention all of the world records he has racked up under his belt over the years. And also, just for time comparison, BizKit's Twitch count goes back about 5 years. Now, why am I making this video? I'm making this video because I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm really not. You know, get it how you live it, all that good shit. But I don't believe in being fraudulent or trying to present yourself as something you're not in order to exploit people. At the end of the day, there really is no substance to justify the attention that these three young ladies are receiving. Based on my observations, my research, and my experience in both the real world and the internet, this is shaping up to be a very classic case, a very textbook case of fake it till you make it. Because in this day and age, it's really no secret that a lot of celebrities, tastemakers, influencers, early adopters, often portray this sort of gaudy, grandiose lifestyle that is very fleeting, very temporary. Oftentimes you might see somebody posing with a Lamborghini or a Bugatti or a Rolls Royce, when in fact they're just renting it. You know, they're just renting the car for a day or for a week. They don't own it. You understand? But they present it as if they own it, and they never tell people that they're renting it. They just let people make the assumption. So if it's ever revealed that they're renting, they can just use the excuse, well, I didn't say it was mine. Right? Plausible deniability and all that. And the same goes with you know, people taking pictures in expensive looking houses, wearing expensive clothes. Oftentimes it may not even be their garments. It may be somebody else's clothes that they're just wearing. Oftentimes it's not their houses, it's just somebody's house they are in, and taking pictures with celebrities when they probably don't even have an actual relationship with that celebrity. They just got lucky and were able to snap a flick to make it seem like they are somehow, you know, one of the important people. Faking it till you make it is far too common in this day and age. I'm sure plenty of it went on before my time, you know, in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, but it's definitely seen a very gross resurgence as of the late 80s all the way up until the present. But especially now, for the millennial generation, we have a lot of people who want to be successful without actually having any kind of success. And I think that analogy is a perfect encapsulation of what the what do they call themselves again? The Lux Gaming professional stream team really is. Because when you really think about it, who's giving these young women money? Who's really backing them and supporting them and financing them, aside from their you know, fans who are so thirsty that a lifetime supply of Gatorade wouldn't be able to quench them? You know, and at the end of the day, those really just add up to scraps compared to what you need to live that type of luxurious lifestyle to make people envious. But enough on that. You get the idea. Fake it till you make it. It's not real. It's not legitimate. And even if by some chance, you know, snowball's chance in hell, but even if by some chance, you know, they do succeed with this stream team, for anyone who sees this video, please do not forget that they were literally nothing in the gaming stratosphere at their inception, yet still had all this empty, unsubstantiated, and quite frankly, blatantly manipulative to the lowest common denominator and sexist controversy surrounding them. It is complete and total bullshit, and I will not buy into it. You should not either. You shouldn't watch their videos, you should not subscribe, and you should not show them an ounce of support. Because ultimately, it's fraud. It's fraudulent. And that kind of sums up all of my thoughts on this particular issue. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. And honestly, best of luck to what's her name, Celestia. I hope she does get 1 million subscribers, and I hope she does make a porno and enters the adult film industry, and I hope she has a thriving career in it. Honestly, I don't know anything about her aside from the bare minimum facts I had to look up in regards to what was actually happening. So because I did not want to give her the views or the retention time. But best of luck to her. I don't have anything against any of them. I don't. But it always boils down to one simple thing. They are taking people's hard-earned money, and they are selling them some type of pipe dream. They are selling them on this sort of false hope, where ultimately, the same thing that these women offer as for their Patreon rewards. And by the way, their Patreon rewards are honestly such a disgrace. They ask for absurd sums of money, upward of $69, $100, $200, for stupid things. For stupid things like roles in the Discord chat, exclusive videos, exclusive snaps, blah 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 blah, da da da, which I'm sure they just recycle and send to they send the same probably 3 or 4 videos or pictures to everyone who is stupid enough to give them money. Their Patreon rewards are so bland. To think they probably legitimately believe that they deserve to be earning money off of doing this is just ludicrous. The same thing that they offer you can find online for free. Okay, there are plenty of what's the word? I don't want to get myself in trouble, so what should I say? There are plenty of websites that will offer you free downloads of hundreds of thousands of nudes from amateurs across the entire planet. Okay, so if you're paying $200 to receive a customized Snapchat that you can only view for 7 seconds, maybe you really like the girl. I don't know. I feel bad for you if you do, because she probably doesn't like you. If you're doing that, that's stupid. Just find somewhere to get it for free. It's 2017. You should not be giving e-girls money in 2017. That's just stupid. You look like a cuck. You look like a cuck doing that. And it pisses me off when I see the fact that they're able to maintain this kind of faux lifestyle. It just gets me angry because there's no excuse for it in 2017. I don't care how pathetic your life is. If you have an internet connection to be giving them money, you have an internet connection to be finding the same shit you get from them for free. Anyway, that's the end of my rant segment. I think I'm done with this episode. As a final note, if you want to watch a girl who's actually a real gamer who doesn't exploit her gender to attract horny 12-year-olds, do go check out Jane Douglas from Outside Xbox. I believe her Instagram is Penny Dreadful, at Penny Dreadful. She's essentially the shining example of what a gamer girl should be. She doesn't employ any tricks. She doesn't employ any tactics. She's just a real human being whose passion about video games is very genuine and very refreshing. She's actually probably one of the closest things we have to a gamer girl expert. Because there are plenty of guys who are experts in gaming. Gaming, is a guy-dominated market, but she's probably the closest thing we have to a gamer girl expert. And she's relatively revered in the gaming community. I haven't been able to find anything negative about her from her time working with one of these game publishing magazines, I believe, or one of these game publishing websites. From her time working there to her time on Outside Xbox, I haven't been able to find anything negative about her, which is generally a good sign. It usually says a lot when you can't find anything negative by someone who's not being backed by a large PR firm or a large marketing department that protects their image. Okay, enough of my rambling. You guys have been tortured for long enough. So anyway, that's the end of Bullshit Volume 2. Thanks for sticking around for this long, and you already know the deal. If you like this video, please do leave a thumbs up and a comment. I would really appreciate it. And also go check out some of my other videos, and hopefully we can get back to the porn star reviews sometime next week. Alright, catch you later.